Wednesdays. It's Fix at 6, and we're excited to talk about the truth about cholesterol. Last week, Sam Wegg talked about healthy hormones, and this conversation will follow that up and build into it. Next week, we have Patrick Cucarola talking about the benefits of vitamin D and how to get a substantial amount of vitamin D in our body, both naturally along with supplements. So please join us. And once again, remember, the question and answers will be answered through info@Fix Medical Group. So please send us a message. Our promise to you is we'll get back to you within 24 hours with an answer to your question. We're happy to help. Please share these Wellness Wednesdays with your friends, especially for the people that are struggling and don't have answers to better daily habits to serve themselves for a better quality of life for themselves and their family long term. So happy that you're on tonight. The truth about cholesterol. Man, how about back in the day? I remember growing up, early teens, the word cholesterol in our house was worse than any other word. It was like, I have high cholesterol. I can't eat this, I can't eat this, and I have to be on this drug for the rest of my life. And if I don't, I'm going to have a cardiac event. I'm going to have heart disease that's going to eventually kill me. I have to take this medication. My older brother, my mother, everyone in our family has high cholesterol, and everybody has to be on the same medication and the same diet. And my question to everybody out there, have you had the similar experience listening to this nonsense about cholesterol and how it's such a horrible thing for us, when in fact it's produced by our body to serve us? And tonight we're going to talk about what you're doing to help this natural process of your body serve you instead of harm this natural process where it's counterintuitive and you don't get the benefits of this amazing substance flowing through our body. So let's not villainize cholesterol moving forward. We would not function well without it. And we'll ask ourselves, why are we taking this medication to limit its production in our body when it's naturally supposed to serve us? So let's talk about that. What is it? Cholesterol is simply a fat in our body. And this cholesterol is made by our liver. 80% of it is made by our liver. Only 20% of the cholesterol in your body is from the foods we consume. And most of the time, these are healthy foods for us to consume. And we're told not to. And we'll get into that. But what does cholesterol do? How does it help our body? Most importantly, it helps create the cell membranes. It helps our cells interact with one another. It allows our cells to interact with one another. That's pretty powerful. Why would we want to minimize that? It also aids in the creation of sex hormones, estrogen and testosterone. Pretty important for us to have lean muscle mass, burn unnecessary fat, feel the way that we desire, express ourselves to the world in which we want to. That's what hormones do. We present to the world in a way and how our hormones are optimized in our body. If they're functioning well, we look pretty damn good. If not, well, some people might think that person's having a hard time. It's how we present ourselves to the world. So with cholesterol being a big part of how hormones are created in our body, why would we want to minimize that? Also stress hormones, cortisol. Cholesterol is a big part of making sure we have this stress hormone in our body called cortisol. We'd have an interesting life in response to stress if we didn't have cortisol in our body. The other part that we forget about is the 60% of our brain is cholesterol. This fat feeds our neurons in our brains. It helps us with cognitive functioning. It prevents neurodegenerative conditions like early onset dementia, and Alzheimer's. We're going to take that away? Scratching my head over here, just talking out loud. How about this? It converts sunlight into vitamin D. Next week, Patrick's going to talk about vitamin D, and we're going to discuss this in more detail. These Wellness Wednesdays are meant for 15-minute segments. We have practical information to take away immediately so we can make some good daily habit changes. So if you need more information, we're here to serve. Send us a message to info@fixedmedicalgroup.com. But we also have solutions that help you be proactive about managing your cholesterol if you're worried about it, and if you're worried about it taking advantage or affecting your heart. So we talked about what it does. It's made in the liver. Some of it's from the foods we ingest. But, what is this big controversy? Well, number one, let's talk about how that fat is transported through our blood. It's through HDL, high density lipoproteins, or LDL, low density lipoproteins. So these fat molecules, cholesterol, attaches to the HDL or the LDL and is transported through the bloodstream. Okay, it's like just jumping on a big balloon and going for a ride. It's a horrible analogy. How about you're on a slide on one of those big, actually that's a bad analogy too. Those big things that you blow up and are behind a boat and you're being pulled. There are good balloons, or whatever the things are called, and there's bad ones. HDL are the really big floaty ones that's going to support you. And it's going to carry you on, and you're having a good time being pulled behind that boat. LDL is a smaller, cheaper version that likes to get stuck in the water and go under the water and throw you off. We want the big balloon that's going to support us and carry us on our journey. So that's what HDL does. But that cholesterol molecule attaches to the HDL and it'll go through the bloodstream safely. Now we got to be careful with LDL, because your LDL is a smaller molecule typically and can get caught up in some of the cracks in your arteries. And if that happens, the cholesterol can lay down in those cracks and then create plaque. And we all know that plaque in your arterial wall will create a narrowing and potentially a problem if that plaque breaks off and gets transported through your system and back up in your brain, also known as a stroke. So how do we prevent this? Well, let's be clear about what LDL is. There are two versions of LDL. We got a good LDL and a bad LDL. Most practitioners, if they're not functional medicine, naturopaths, a type of optimizing medical practitioners, optimizing your health type of practitioners, and it's more general practitioners, most of the time they're only looking at HDL and LDL and not making a differentiation on how good the LDL is compared to the bad LDL. Now, bear with me. I'm going to stop using the HDL and LDL words here shortly. But what I was told when the family history of cholesterol was high, and everybody said everybody in the family's got to get on this medication, I was like, there's no chance I'm taking a medication for a lifetime to counteract something that's happening naturally in my body. There's no chance this is happening. And thankfully, over the last 15 years, more and more information has come out, which I'm thankful for because it's proven me right, that these doctors were not looking at the two different kinds of LDL. And for me, after further analysis, I have the good LDL. Consider that like the medium range raft that is being pulled behind the boat. It's not as bad as that crappy raft. It's a medium range one where it's not getting stuck in the cracks. It's kind of floating by. All right, so in summary, HDL is great. Keep that high. But you have two versions of LDL, A and B. LDL A is good. LDL B is bad. If you have LDL A, all these suggestions from your general practitioner may not be appropriate because you can get away without taking a medication to limit the cholesterol in your body. Clearly, I'm passionate about this, but I want to move on to what a statin actually is and what it does. So you can make a rational decision, an informed decision about whether or not this is appropriate for you. So a statin is basically a drug that blocks an enzyme in your liver to prevent the production of cholesterol. So you're taking a medication to tell your liver to stop producing cholesterol, is what it comes down to. Which is why, if you choose to do it, all of a sudden your doctor is a magician, because over like a month period of time, you go from 225 cholesterol score down to about a 180, and now all of a sudden you don't have high cholesterol anymore. And it's because you're taking a medication. You're basically tricking the system to say, I'm doing something right for myself because this number says so. That's a fallacy. We have to be proactive in our approach to changing our daily habits and what we're doing to make a change to our system. So we're not putting a little piece of duct tape over the check engine light when it comes on in our car and saying, okay, I don't see it anymore. We're good. It's not how it works. It's not going to serve you long term. So I ask you this. If we have a substance, this waxy substance that creates cell membranes, helps our cells interact with one another, helps the synthesis of hormones, both sex and stress hormones. It feeds our neurons in our brain. It converts sunlight into vitamin D, but we're going to take a medication to block an enzyme that creates it. Let's start thinking and let's start getting proactive. The other part of the situation, side note, is we've heard of CoQ10. When you take a statin, it's hard for the body to produce CoQ10. And CoQ10 helps our cells generate energy. We need energy. And the biggest organ in our body that needs the most CoQ10 is the heart. It demands the most amount of energy from any other organ in our body. However, we're taking a substance to potentially prevent a cardiac event or heart disease, but we're blocking the molecule that creates energy for the heart itself. Just saying. Just saying. Now, the other suggestion here is we have to ask ourselves, who's pushing this drug out there and who's benefiting? Because 1 in 4 Americans are on a statin. I have no idea what our population is currently, but divide that by 24, or 25% of that number is the number of people ingesting that medication on a daily basis. That's a lot of money. And we have to ask ourselves, is AMA and the pharmaceutical industry concerned about our heart disease or lining their pockets? I don't know. We're having a discussion here. So let's get off the negative train and let's go into how we can help ourselves get better, because we know that high cholesterol can come from inflammation. It can be genetic. It can come from poor daily habits. So how do we decrease inflammation? We got a lot of content on this. Well, number one way, I got a little dog over here. Let me show you this little guy. Stress reduction. Stress reduction is a great way to reduce inflammation. But if you're chronically stressed, you're never going to get into a position where your body can be de-inflamed. So stress reduction, number one. Thank you, everybody. Avoiding sugars, both high fructose corn syrup, too much fructose in general, and your table sugars are going to create a massive amount of inflammation and going to create issues in your arteries. And it's going to also lead to increased levels of cholesterol. So let's get the sugars out of our diet. Let's make sure we have stress reduction techniques. Sam Wegg has an amazing sleep course. He also has done content on the Wellness Wednesday on sleep. One of the best ways our bodies can heal and recover, optimizing our sleep. Cholesterol decreases with optimized sleep. Exercise. We need to get our blood pumping through our system. We have to do it in 2 ways: long sustained exercise and then short bursts of exercise. So we have the long cardio events where you may be on a treadmill or going for a long walk with your husband or wife, or high intensity interval training, really getting your heart pumping, getting those hormones surging, making sure that you're using your organs in the way that we're designed. So both of those, high intensity interval training along with longer cardio workout, long walk, gentle run for a few miles, keeping your heart rate up. And then detoxification of your body. We have a great detoxification program. If you're interested in learning more about it, Message us, info@fixmedicalgroup.com. We can show you the formula that can help detox your gut and your liver. So why would we want to do that? Why is detoxification good for us? Well, if your liver creates 80% of the cholesterol and your liver is struggling and suffering because of the things that we're putting in our body, both intentionally and unintentionally, how can we ask that organ to function optimally until we detoxify it, give it a break, and allow it to do its job after it heals and recovers? Detoxification is essential to make sure we lower our unnecessary levels of cholesterol if they exist. Now, another way to do that is getting the right amount of vegetables in your diet. We suggest at Fix 2 servings of vegetables at every meal. And a serving of vegetables is simply, one serving is palm of your hand. It's not that hard to get 6 servings of vegetables in per day. And the vegetables that can serve your liver the best are your cruciferous vegetables. I'm not going to roll through every single cruciferous vegetable, but go online and just type in what's a cruciferous vegetable and buy all of them. They're amazing for detoxification of your liver and amazing for just overall good carbohydrates and fiber in your diet. Now, those are the solutions for helping you get to a point where you have good, healthy fats in your blood that's serving you well. Now, for the sake of Wellness Wednesday, we want to keep it short, but in summary, let's de-inflame ourselves. The proper nutrients going into our bodies, a detoxification program, the right vegetables, specifically cruciferous vegetables, the right exercise routine, and then understanding what the chemistry really says. Do you really have bad blood fats, or was that a thing of the past and now your fats in your blood are actually serving you and not hurting you? Please be proactive in understanding. Use a functional medicine practitioner, naturopath, anybody that's optimizing your health and not just simply trying to keep you alive as your go-to for suggestions, specifically around ways you can be proactive in taking care of yourself without relying on a medication. Now, I ask you this. Give some thought to what a statin is. Give some thought to what you're putting in your body. I am not saying it's bad. I'm just simply saying it's not right for me. It's your job to do the due diligence to make sure that you have the right information so you can make an informed decision for both you and your family. We're here to serve and we're here to help. And feel free to reach out to us so we can have that opportunity to help you. We know this is a confusing topic. In 15 minutes, it's too much to go through everything, but it's at least a beginning for you to understand that we're here to help you have the right answers. Next week, Patrick Cucurullo is going to talk about the benefits of vitamin D and how we can get more of it in our bodies. So again, thank you for tuning in. This is Wellness Wednesday, the truth about cholesterol, and we'll see you again next week.